NBA2K Sports for another edition of NBA basketball. This is Kevin Harlan along with Clark Kellogg. We've got a chance now for our starting lineups from point guard to center. This game should be a good one. First for San Antonio, Parker and Danny Green are your 1 and your 2. And in the middle, out of Brazil, taken with the 28th pick back in 2008, the 6'11" pivot man, Thiago Splitter. Then there's Kawhi Leonard, and it's Duncan in at the power forward position. And for the Heat, Chalmers and D-Wade are the guards. And playing at the 5, the always versatile 6'11" star big man, able to score inside and out, Chris Bosh. Then it's LeBron James, and it's Haslam in at the 4.
Guys, you go back to the... Oh, get it! Watch out now.
Just floating to the rim on that slam.
Boy, when he gets up and stays up.
Boy, smooth and graceful. How about the hang time? That's impressive.
Wade, good ball movement here by the Heat. LeBron kicks to Wade. Chalmers, covered by Parker. Haslam dishes to LeBron. Chalmers, 5 on the clock. Excellent defense there from Thiago Splitter.
Boy, the effort was there, but he just couldn't quite fight his way through traffic.
Well, if you're going to learn from someone, you might as well take some lessons from Tim Duncan. That's what Thiago Splitter has done in San Antonio, really kind of growing up under the tutelage of one of the great players of all time.
It's LeBron with the drive. Foul call that time on the way up. That'll give him 2 chances at the free throw line here. And Splitter taken 28 by the Spurs way back in the 2007 draft, but they had to wait 3 seasons, Clark, for him to come over from Spain. And as Greg Popovich was saying just this past season, he's finally showing what he can do because he's been healthy.
Yeah, agreed, Kevin, and I think it was a wait worth making,
yes.
Quite honestly. I mean, one of the premier backup centers in the NBA the last 3 seasons, and he earned himself a nice payday with his new contract, too. You know, part of being a championship team is having the talent first and foremost, but then managing the minutes of that talent. The Heat, I thought, did a nice job monitoring the minutes of the big 3 throughout the season and playoffs last year.
Haslam, that's good. First quarter, about a minute and a half in. Let's find out what Doris Burke has for us.
Yes, Kevin, I spoke briefly with Eric Spoelstra. I asked him about how his team was going to handle the veterans of the Spurs, and he said there really isn't a whole lot that Duncan and them haven't seen, so you can't surprise them one way or another. Really, it comes down to us being as careful with the ball as they are and being efficient in our possessions. Sounds simple enough, gentlemen.
Thank you, Doris. Well, as you said, Clark, the big 3 in their prime, but really, you want them to just get their work in during the season, not exhaust themselves before they make it to the playoffs.
I thought, Kevin, along those lines, I thought by the end of last season, Miami was exhausted. And once you try to win a 3rd title in a row, the emotional fatigue and exhaustion really becomes a factor. So this is going to be interesting to watch all year.
Parker with it. Now guarded by Mario Chalmers. Duncan with the bucket.
4 or 5 shots have dropped for them already. Not a bad way to get things started.
To the paint. Here's LeBron. That falls. Nice feed that time from Dwayne Wade.
They are really doing a nice job establishing a presence inside early.
And that's going to open things up for them on the perimeter going forward, Clark.
Coach Popovich was fine last season for sitting out his top players in a nationally televised matchup against the Heat. I certainly understand the league's posture there, and it was a lot said about it. Yet, for a veteran team like the Spurs with championship aspirations, I understand resting key players during the course of the regular season.
Kicks it out to LeBron. Wade outside. Right side Bosh. Back to Wade. LeBron outside. He dishes it to Bosh. Left side Bosh. Shot clock at 3. Will not go. This is off the front iron. And back to that fine for Popovich, $250,000. Steve, that'll leave a dent.
Yeah, no doubt. But, you know, Popovich enjoys tweaking the league at times. This was clearly an effort to do that. But, look, I think it's good for him to actually, you know, kind of let the league know every once in a while that if you're going to give us that kind of schedule with my older team, I'm going to sit them down once in a while.
Here's Haslam. The rebound by the Spurs. Green with the ball. Smooth as silk on the finger roll.
Brought back the finger roll. That's a nice finesse move to pull off with the defense all over him.
The Heat trail by 4. LeBron with it. Guarded now by Duncan. Hit his leg. And it's whistled a kick. So San Antonio going with an almost entirely new group here. Matt Bonner, he's checked in for Splitter. Diaw comes in for Tim Duncan. Ana Ginobili's checked in for Kawhi Leonard. And it's Bellinelli in for Daniel Green. And now the fast break, Ginobili with the ball. And Diaw kicks to Bellinelli. Pass to Diaw. Fires the 3. Good.
They got themselves in front with some outstanding shooting right off the bat.
Yep, it's been a clinic at that end of the floor, no question.
Boris Diaw from France, really a unique player. I mean, he came into the league, guys, as more of a playmaking small forward. Now he plays at the power forward spot. He's still much more of a passer than he is a scorer.
Parker outside. Pass to Bonner. There's the dish to Bellinelli. And he uses the glass on the layup. Bellinelli's got his first 2 points. And Clark, you mentioned Diaw's skill level. Not the biggest or most athletic guy, but, you know, Steve, he's still effective.
He's really a great basketball player. What I mean by that, just he knows angles, he knows how to use his body to create passes and shots for himself. And defensively, he's very effective, particularly guarding the post because of his strength.
Parker passes to Bonner. Here's Bellinelli. The feather touch on the finger roll. Beautiful. There's 42 seconds left here in the first quarter. Wade with it. He's picked up by Parker. The shot by Wade, no good.
The defense was ready for him that time, and they had to be. He is so powerful in the lane.
Ginobili dishes to Parker. Back to Ginobili. Spurs passing it around. And Diaw kicks to Bellinelli. The feed to Bonner. Shot clock at 6. Puts the lead pass in front of him. And it's going to be 2 free throws. Drew contact on the shot.
Well, you allow them to get right to the rim like that. That's your only option.
Yeah, I think you got to foul them, and free throws are better than a layup.
The Spurs shooting their initial free throws of the game right here.
Well, this was a very consistent free throw shooting team a year ago. They shot about 79%.
And you can't take those numbers lightly, fellas. I mean, their free throw shooting made a difference for them in a lot of their games last season.
Boy, his free throw shooting, just another reason. He's such a good all-around player.
And the whistle blows as the basket counts and a three-point play chance right here. 1 free throw coming up. The Heat have been unsuccessful at the line so far, 0 of 3, and looking to make their first free throw of the game right now. And that one misses. Shoots it. The offense coming free and easy as we wrap up the first one. And now the second quarter just getting set to start. And a moment now to quickly take a look at the offensive approach for San Antonio.
They've been making some really nice passes out there. Excellent passing. That could set the tone for the rest of the game.
And I love the penetration because we're seeing a team that's attacking the lane, forcing the defense to collapse, and you're going to see some easy points as a result. And it is very dangerous to leave him open like that. Lucky break for the defense that he missed him.
Well, when you have the best record in the league, you're going to be the most dominant, one of the most dominant teams at home. The Heat just destroyed people down in Miami, and only the Denver Nuggets had more wins at home than the Heat did.
Now let's send it to Doris from the sideline.
Gentlemen, last year, Greg Popovich received a $250,000 fine from the league for sitting out his starters in that game against Miami. They cracked down, but it wasn't the first time he'd rested his top players on a back-to-back. Pop explained the philosophy this way, saying, quote, "We're making a wiser decision and not a macho decision. It's about health and safety of players. So so that we have a shot at the end of the year. If I was taking my son or daughter to the game, I'd be disappointed. So I understand that perspective. Hopefully, they'll understand my perspective. My priority is the basketball team and what is best for it. Guys, it's always a balancing act.
It certainly is. Thank you, Doris. And how crazy is that from the Heat to win as many games as they did last season, but still be second in the league in home wins? Still, we're far and away #1 at home in the East.
Well, yeah, the Knicks were the closest team in the East, but they still had 6 fewer wins at home than Miami. But the Heat really just did what they had to do to put themselves in position to go on to their second NBA title in a row.
Here's what San Antonio's going with right now. Splitters checked in for Matt Bonner. Duncan comes in for Boris Diaw. And Kawhi Leonard subbed in for Manu Ginobili. Gets it to go. And it's an 11-point Spurs lead.
Beautiful feed off the bounce to his teammate there. Nicely done.
Udonis Haslem, he's checked in for the Heat. And here in the second with about a minute and a half gone by.
I tell you, Tim Duncan turned back the clock last season, didn't he? One of his best in years. And one of his best seasons ever when it comes to blocking shots. For a guy who doesn't get a whole lot of elevation, it's his timing that allows him to be a shot blocker without bouncing real high.
Chalmers passes to Bosh.
That's foul number 2 on him. It might not warrant sitting him entirely, but another one before halftime, they could be in some trouble.
And he's just had 1 attempt at the line early. And he can't hit the second.
They still haven't hit one this quarter.
Spurs leading by 11. Green dishes to Parker. And he was fouled on the way up. 2 free throws now for him. You know, back to Duncan, Steve, you could make a credible argument that with the exception of Larry Bird, no player in NBA history has been more successful while blessed with fewer hops. I mean, I don't know if you'd say he's athletic.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, he's not real athletic, but, man, the skill, the savvy, just the incredible knowledge of the game. One of the great players of all time.
Oh, just such a pro.
Yeah.
Man, just such a pro. And that one's good by Bosh.
He can finish in the post. That's one thing we know about him.
Outside, Green. Leonard on the wing. Uses the glass to finish the layup. Leonard's got his second basket.
The number of points they've scored in the paint already today is pretty eye-opening, Steve.
No, it's off the charts. It really is. And defensively, I mean, they have to start shutting down some of those lanes to the hoop.
And it's out of bounds to the Heat as Miami retains possession.
That was an awfully risky pass, guys. Lucky it didn't wind up as a steal.
Well, it nearly did wind up as a steal, but no harm done in the end. They hang on to possession.
Allen outside. 6 to shoot. Heat moving the ball around. Miami needs to get a shot off. And it's blocked by Duncan. And they force the shot clock violation. Great D.
You know, he's not the most flashy point guard out there, and you don't hear his name when people talk about the best point guards in the game, but I think Parker is one of the best in the business when it comes right down to it. He's able to do so many things out there for you and just had a dominant season for the Spurs a year ago.
Steve, Parker's fearlessness going to the hoop is what makes him such a devastating player in crunch time. Often you see him go right into a bigger guy, take the contact, and still find a way to finish the play. Well, I think this is one of the more amazing stats in sports when you think about it. No matter the season or the roster, the Spurs just seem to find ways to win 50 games. They've done it 14 straight seasons now, which is off the charts.
And Clark, as you said, the Spurs last season hitting 50 wins for the 14th consecutive season. By the way, that's an NBA record. Second closest were the Lakers with 12 straight, Steve, from 79 to 91.
Yeah, 58 wins last season for San Antonio. Greg Popovich calls it corporate knowledge, just the consistency that comes with the experience of the group. And they've been together so long, particularly that core, that I think it allows the Spurs to really kind of cruise at times during the regular season.
Okay, well, let's check in with Doris Burke reporting from our sideline in this game. Doris, take it away.
Guys, last year, Dwayne Wade set a career high for field goal percentage at over 52%. D. Wade said, quote, Back when I had the team, I was the top player. I had to shoot shots I wasn't comfortable with. I made some, I missed a lot. I have a different role on this team. I don't have the ball all the time, so I need to take shots that come and understand which shots are my shots. Kevin, you gotta love the dedication to efficiency for the team's sake.
That's why he's a champion, Doris. Thanks.
Much has been made about the show LeBron puts out during games, but he also puts on a spectacle in his pregame routine. Last season, he and others started pulling out all the stops and dunking in the pregame warm-up in an effort to break a sweat.
Leonard gets to Green. He gets the shot to fall, and the defender wasn't set. He's called for the block and a three-point play chance here. And Clark, you mentioned the pregame dunks for LeBron, a devastating finisher. Some have asked why he's never competed in the All-Star Slam Dunk competition. In fact, I say that every Saturday night I'm sitting on that microphone. Why isn't LeBron in this competition?
Wouldn't it be nice? In fact, I think, didn't Magic Johnson even put up a $1 million incentive for him to compete? Yeah, it would be incredible to see him. I don't know. I think it's become almost a chore for players these days to enter, but it would be fantastic to see him out there. Well, coming off a title last year, you always wonder if a team will maybe relax a little bit. They usually won't admit to it, but Chris Bosh readily said it at times that his team had a difficult time lighting that fire again.
So neither attempt will fall that time for him. I'm going to go back to what Bosh said. I think that is true for every team, Clark, that comes off a championship, but they usually don't admit it like Bosh did.
Well, you know what? Once you've won it all, there is a bit of a relief and a little malaise that may settle over you, but I've always respected Bosh's candor. He's a guy who doesn't bite his tongue, and he articulates what he feels, and I think it's impressive that they fought back to the finals once more, because that shows they eventually did recapture that fire.
Parker passes to Duncan. And they will get the basket here, folks, as they rule goaltending.
He thought he had that one clean, but the ref saw it differently. They'll count the basket.
Can you hear the crowd kind of murmuring? I don't think they agreed with the officials on that one.
Steve, I tell you what, they're really letting them have it.
Shane Battier is checked in for Udonis Haslem. And out of bounds as San Antonio gains possession.
Man, another mistake. This is embarrassing. I mean, you've got to make better decisions than that.
Boris Diaz checked in for Splitter. The drive by Green.
I like the call. I thought the defense was moving there.
Yeah, I think he slid underneath. Good blocking call that trip. You know, no denying it's been a heck of a run the last few years for the Heat, but you can't help but wonder if the impending 2014 summer of free agency could be the end of it all. The big three came together in a flash of lightning, it seemed, but it could end just as fast if one or all decide to opt out.
The Spurs making a switch here. Splitter's checked in. And it's LeBron missing. 5 seconds separating the shot and game clocks. Parker outside. Offensive rebound. Green. And he banks in the layup. Green's got 7 points here in this quarter.
You know, it seems like when they've gone to him, he's really come through. And that's not something they should get away from.
Pass to LeBron. Dishes to Bosh. Chalmers covered by Parker. Back to Chalmers. Out to Battier. Tipped. Here's Diaw. And so a pretty lopsided game for the first half. It's the Spurs running away with it. And we'll be